Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Acquire podcast from the Oddphonic Podcast Network. And I'm your host, Jennie Wright. This is the podcast that delves deep into the world of list building and online events, and it's designed to empower you to help grow your business with the knowledge and strategies that I think are essential. So, we're going to have a really great conversation. We have a really amazing, truly fantastic guest. This is Julie Greenham, who I've had the pleasure of not only being able to interview, but also meet in person several times. She gives the best hugs. And so I think that should be her bio, but we actually do have a bio for her. So she is a powerhouse success coach for entrepreneurial moms. She's been featured on Canadian news like Global News, and she's a sought after speaker, as well as creating her own event, which we're going to talk about today. And I'm excited. She has the Elevate experience. It's a very intimate, it's a powerful women's business gathering centered on heartfelt networking. And I will tell you that having gone to two of her Elevate events, they are truly transformative. So I'm really excited. Julie, thank you so much for being here.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much. And now you're making me consider that I should add the hugger part to my bio.
You
I'm a pretty
absolutely
good
should.
hugger.
You are.
Yeah.
No, you are. Like you're like the 15 second. You're not the 2 second hugger. You're the 15 second, like stress reliever, connection deepening, like human to human. I mean, I loved it. It was fantastic. So I definitely come for the hugs.
Thank you. Well, you are too. You know what I heard too the other day? If anybody's listening, and you don't have to be a mother if you're listening to this advice, but I saw the other day a reel about just don't let go first when someone hugs you. And so I do that now, especially with my kids. And I've been really surprised. It's been really nice. Because sometimes I'm like, oh, I don't want to make the other person uncomfortable. So now I don't let go first. I just leave it.
That's incredible. I love that. That feels, oh gosh, you create such a feeling. I mean, that's so cool. That means you give the person the space to feel like when they're done
Yes.
receiving that connection, that physical and emotional connection. So something
Exactly.
that something that pulls me towards you as an entrepreneur and as a person is the fact that you make people feel incredibly seen and incredibly heard. And I think that's one of the reasons why people are drawn to you. But where does that come from? How did you develop that? Is that something you've always had your whole life, or is that something you've had to work on?
Mm. Thank you. I think it's my because it's my number one value, and it's
Hmm.
also what triggers me the most. Because when you have your values and you expect other people to follow through or to do the same, and so that also gets me very triggered if I'm not seen or heard. Um, well, I think it's just it was my mom and I for my whole life. And so we were dedicated to each other and very attentive. And, I want to create the same for my kids, for my clients, for a partner, for anyone who I interact with, because that could just change everything, could change someone's day. Making the space feel like it's non-judgmental, that it's safe, that they can say anything, that it's inclusive. I think that's the best gift.
Completely agree, because when you do that, and from somebody who didn't have that and who wants to, and I continue to try and embody that as an adult, but I didn't have it as a kid. I was
Mm,
part of the, better to be seen and not heard sort of crowd, right?
yes.
And as you would know. And so to feel that as an adult from people makes it completely validating and makes you feel like you're actually valued as a human being versus just be quiet and whatnot. And boundaries, what a huge thing to work on. I think the most amount of boundaries I've ever had are now that I'm an entrepreneur. I did not even work on boundaries when I worked in corporate, which probably explains a lot. You've focused a lot on making sure that people's boundaries are respected and yours are too. How do you how do you communicate that in a loving and like heartfelt way to your clients or even at the Elevate experience, which we're going to talk about next?
hmm Boundaries, and you're right. I'm the same as you, Jenny. I learned that the hard way and also very late in life. And I think that's why sometimes, especially with our voices being repressed and not being seen or heard, I think it all comes together. Different ways of feeling into the boundaries is asking people, create. I know we'll go into talking about Elevate, but creating a space where there is those boundaries, and
Mhm.
also with even people connecting with each other. One of the questions I think in because I always try to have people meet themselves, meet each other, should I
Mhm.
say, before that they go into the experience or before we have an event. And so one of the things is if you'd like to collaborate or you want to reach out to someone after you get to know them, what is the best way? Because we all have different communication love languages. I think you even said that before. I think you
Mhm.
you coined that term, so that stayed with me. And it's true. I like to leave voice notes, and maybe you like to do email, or an email, that's not my first choice, but like how can we how just be clear on what the style of the other person is, for sure.
Mhm. And respect it.
Yes, that's a big one too. Hmm.
Your focus is helping moms with the tools to be unapologetically fulfilled. And I think that's massive. It's a movement in my eyes. Now, I am personally not a mother, but as a human being that interacts with other human beings on a daily basis, wanting my own unapologetic fulfillment within my own context of friends, partnership, romantically and so on is so important. And it's something that I don't think I enforced for a very long time. I think, like you, I was a bit of a late bloomer in that way. I mean, I really don't think it was something that I embodied until I was in my late 30s, maybe even early 40s or mid 40s. So, gosh, I feel old. Okay, we won't go there. But okay, I was telling my best friend this the other day. I still feel 22 in my head. Like I'm still 22. But
Yes.
isn't that crazy? But yeah,
I feel the
absolutely.
same.
I knew you would. I knew you would. Uh, I just think I think regardless whether or not you work with moms that you do, but also I've been to your events, and as somebody who's not a mother, I still find it incredibly powerful to have somebody acknowledge and then create this space for the empowerment so that you get everything you need. Okay, let's switch over to Elevate, because this is kind of like the culmination of all of the philosophies that I've heard you talk about on your previous podcast and on your posts on social media. I kind of feel like Elevate is where you've filtered everything into and created sort of like a the opposite of diluted, what is that word, and I can't think of it in English, um where
Ooh,
everything
save for French people.
un audience en français, where concentrated, like where
I
you've
see.
yeah. So when you bring everything together, all these different philosophies and views and your viewpoints, and you concentrate, I feel like you put that all into Elevate. So tell me about what made you want to create it? What is it? And what does it become? Because I doubt it's the same as when you originally thought of it.
Completely different, yes. Same fundamentals, but
Mhm.
it's grown. So it's funny, Jenny, I don't know if you knew this about me, but I actually studied event planning at George Brown like 20 something years ago.
You did not really? That's so cool.
I did. So I came to Toronto to be a flight attendant, and then I had so much time because I was on call, and I was thinking my biggest strength, anybody who's a fan of StrengthsFinder, my big top number one is learner. I always have to be diving into something, this a topic that,
Mhm.
that I want to learn about. So I got into event planning and I really loved it. And then I started having a more consistent schedule, and then I had children. And so I just completely put that in the back burner, and I think it reignited my love for the event planning. So I used to have a membership called the Quiet Powerhouse membership, and there was a member in there. She said, we're all so close. Have you ever thought about, Julie, having a day where we could spend together and meet? And so I thought, no, but that's a great idea. And so I kind of put it together without thinking anything of it. But being a Virgo meticulous, of course, all the details were very planned out. But it was sort of last minute. Hmm. Oh, I can't hear you, Jenny.
Oopsie daisies. Uh, the first Elevate event was in September or October of 2023.
Yes, 2023. Yes,
Wasn't it September? I think it was September.
it was October.
Was it
October
October?
7th. Yes.
It was
Or
a
maybe
warm October, I'll say that though.
I'm
Because it was a warm day. So the first one was in October 2023. The second one was May 2nd of 2024. What happened between October and May that created a like an arc of transformation, not only for the event, but how you wanted to run it? And then also what we're missing here is probably a little bit of context as to what Elevate is. So maybe let's start there. Talk about what the premise of the Elevate experience is. What are you trying to, create for it? And then we can talk about that transformational piece from October to May.
Yes. So basically, the Elevate experience is I wanted my vision for it was to have a curated space to be very intimate with like-minded people. And I mostly serve women. Women are usually in my community, so that's who shows up. And to have deep conversation and bold results. Basically, I'm taking Elevate as like a fantastic dinner of how I like to welcome people into my home. And so you have to be like-minded, you have to have great conversation, and you are going to have all those things because of everyone that I know. So I knew already that it was going to be fantastic. And you have to have really good food. Like those are my three basic things. Still working on the music, but because every time I finish an event, I think, oh, this should have been this should have been that, this should have been this. So, but I'm celebrating the wins way more. But I'm a Virgo. That's what I do. That's what I do. I've accepted that about myself.
Yeah. So that's the event. That's the premise of the event. And October was the first one, and I thought it was great. It was in downtown Toronto, really cute little space. The food was amazing. I'm gonna say it felt like the food was incredible. Everybody talked about the food.
Yes.
I think it was these what was it, gluten-free like double chocolate cookies or something? Because I remember bringing one home for my partner because they were so darn good.
With the sea salt on top.
Yes. And they were really, really good. So what has changed between the event back in October and the event that just happened this past May? What changed for it?
I think I just wanted to make it better. And the
Mhm.
feedback was not as I expected. I thought we're going to have this thing one time, and that's going to be it.
What did I
And
say to you when I saw you in the October event?
I know, like two a year, Julie. Still working on the other cities, by the way, but just doing one step at a time. But yeah, I think I took all the feedback that I received and I thought this is really fantastic. I think also after, I hate to say this word again, but like the pandemic,
Mhm.
I think it's bringing more people together still. Like I think we're going to see that for so long. I think we've missed that really good connection, and I find it's shifted a lot of things for people as well. And I only want to be with people who I enjoy being with, like-minded people. I only want to have deep conversations. So I thought, how about I create what I want and see if there's other people who want that too. And so I just really love like this last Elevate. I love when everybody was gathering and everybody was networking and people were laughing. And I remember, I preface, I'm divorced, but this is the best advice I had for my wedding day. And I did it. And I did it at this event because it goes for events too. It's like when everybody's having a great time, go back and just enjoy the view, take a little few seconds. And I think I took a whole minute and I just took it all in because it was incredible that it was from my mind and then it was actually happening. People were exchanging advice and insights and giving each other, because this is where the real power is
Mhm.
within people and conversations and being really vulnerable. And so we're talking about boundaries earlier too, like setting the premise of this is the kind of container that we're in,
Mhm.
being vulnerable, sharing ideas. Hmm.
I love talking about events and I love digging into the what and the why and the how, obviously, because, I plan events, I build events. What I also love to get into is what happens after the event, besides the crash, like the next day where you're just like sleeping and you just want your cup of tea or however, like that's how I deal. You might deal differently, but I know this last event, you and your partner took back home so much food. So I don't know what you did with it all, but you had an amazing amount of food. And what kind of comes from that? What was the call to action after Elevate, and what did that look like for you? Would that be something that you're going to change for the next one?
I think what I love to do is while we're still on this high energy, I love to offer tickets to like an alumni price
Hmm.
for the next event. So that's one thing that really works well. And I enjoy having, I think it's the perfect people, perfect vibe coming together. So I love that we're going to do this again. So that's one thing that I love. I shut everything off. Like I put the food in my trunk and then I went for dinner with my partner and then I shut off my phone. I'm really good with that kind of boundary.
Nice.
And then the next day I just unpacked. I always unpacked mentally. I really celebrate my wins because
Hmm.
again, being that Virgo, you can always make things better, but I used to be consumed by that. So now I really look at what worked, what didn't, and I actually look at numbers like, how much did all these things cost? And then the offer that we had made at the event. And so I take a look at all the metrics.
Hmm.
Um, and what do people like? I ask for lots of feedback as well. Hmm.
And the offer that you made this time was a co-created, it was not a workshop. What was it? It was with Susan Diaz, right?
Yes. Who was one of the speakers?
Exactly. And it was about AI and what else? What was the actual offer that you guys did?
Right. She was going to make custom, she offered custom ChatGPT and a marketing. She has a marketing power circle
Hmm.
that I'm part of. And so, which is fantastic. And then I was offering a leadership workshop. And as
Nice.
well, I think a brand audit as well.
Mhm. That seems really aligned to the people that were in the room because everybody, so the speakers that you had, and you had a really great lineup. I was actually super impressed with the panel. So I was on the panel last year, which was a huge honor for me. And this year I was so excited to be able to just come and be an observer. And I just honored that I was able to be there. But this year you had really great speakers. You also had some really cool like modalities happening, right? So we had Liz who did the dancing, sort of like the breath work while we were dancing and stuff like that. That was really, really cool. And then you had this incredible panel with, I mean, people that I now follow on Instagram where they're, I wouldn't typically have thought those people would be on a panel, which I thought was fantastic. So we were talking about some issues that were really relevant to the day. We were hearing from people that are really special with what it is that they're doing in the world, which was fantastic. I can't remember everybody's name right now. I have it written down somewhere, but they were amazing. And then you had these amazing parting gifts, which I have one of them in the other room, and it has doubled in size. Okay.
Oh, you're gonna have to share with me how. Well, you're the plant lady, so
Well,
I'm the plant killer.
so it
You
was
see
like
all the
this big
beautiful
when I
plants.
got it, and now it's like this big. It's so gorgeous. I love it. So you had these really cool parting gifts, and there was a beautiful potted plant and a couple other really great things in there. And it just felt really, it felt better than getting like like it was very bespoke and it was really well curated. And for everybody who's listening that wants to create an in-person event versus even just an online event, these little things are what matters because that's what showed up in the stories, right? So people's stories were showing these plants. The stories were showing the little packet drink that was in there, like I think it was a latte or a coffee. Those things are like, that's what I was seeing on social media afterwards. And then one of the things that you had, and this is the first time that I saw it, was Shutter Bee.
Mm,
So,
yeah.
quick explanation, and I mean, I will probably end up doing a whole episode with Dory from Shutterbee. So Shutterbee is about getting B-roll for your event, so you can just focus on the event and not have to worry about trying to get B-roll pictures or B-roll videos, so that you have that to create social media, sizzle reels, and so on, right? And it's very affordable because it's a gig economy or a gig platform, which I thought was really, really cool. And if you're listening and you're not in Ontario, sorry, you're currently out of luck. But the goal is, I'm sure, for D to, or sorry, for not for D. Sorry, crap. Why did her name just leave my head?
Dory.
Dory to grow it. I know she wants to grow it further. So What was that experience like having somebody taking care of all the B-roll for the event? And what's that footage been turned into? What does it mean to you?
I'm glad that you mentioned that because the first Elevate, nobody had anything. You were kind enough to take so many pictures that I didn't even think about that. I didn't even think about pictures. I didn't think about videos, nothing. And Natalie was there because she was one of the speakers, Natalie Amlani. And so she took a whole bunch of videos as well that she shared. And I thought, oh, yeah, I can't be doing all of this. So again, like just with the energy boundary, I
Hmm.
thought, I'm not even going to be, she made me aware of that halfway through the day. And I thought, I didn't even think about that. I have no time for that. Thank you to everyone who sends that. But Shutterbee was amazing. I went to a couple of other events before, and so I knew what they were all about, but they are so stealth. Jessica was there for the
Hmm.
day, and so I barely saw her. And what she put together was amazing. And I use it in my marketing. I'm going to use it for my next event. Yeah, and so you can ask people for testimonials as well. So it's great
Hmm.
for the promo for the launch for next time.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's a great service. And
I
every event, yeah, where I went, there's always Shutterbeat.
I know. All of a sudden, like I've never heard of them before, and now they're everywhere, which is fantastic. I'm super happy for the company and Dory as well. So I thought that, like for me, from the perspective of wanting to build a like a sales funnel, to sell something like this footage from previous is going to create that social proof that the event was spectacular and fun. All of your speakers have the video because you shared it with everybody, including the attendees. And so everybody was posting it on social media. So you're seeing it even now, it's a month later, and I'm still seeing the footage being posted regularly in people's stories and also on social media posts, like just regular social media posts. It's being repurposed. And
Yes,
that can be huge because they're going to say, those are recognizable. It's recognizable that it was at the Elevate experience, and people are going to remember that. And I think you're creating sort of a additional brand awareness through something that was really easy to do, incredibly affordable, and really fits into the way that people are promoting and sharing these days. So it's almost like there's no weight. It's a weightless lift. You know what I mean? It
yes,
adds to it. It doesn't cause a lot, like there was no barrier, there's not a lot of friction, and
yeah.
that's great.
I like that you talk about it that way because it's true. It's actually, I've seen so many comments on whether it's LinkedIn or Instagram, where people, oh, it sounds like a really great event. And then they'll DM me personally and say, when is your next one? Or do you have a next one? And so I actually have a list going and I have all these people. And so when I do the early bird, yeah, I'll definitely reach out to them. So that's been really great. Yes. Yeah, the fact that they can also, the attendees can also, and the speakers and the presenters can also share. It's
Mhm.
fantastic.
Well, absolutely, because it gives them, so like it gives people that may not already have their own sizzle reel, right, for their website to show them as a speaker or to even show them as a practitioner like Liz, to then, be able to take that footage and use it to show what they do, right? So there was some footage of me in the audience and then video footage. I'm just sitting there in a chair. But I turned that into a post, right? So I can do that to show like I'm attending, I'm going in person to these events. This is something that I do in my day or my regular, business growth or networking, and I can use it as a way to communicate that, which I think is fantastic. So in-person events, Elevate, I mean, put me on that short list, please. I definitely always going to come to Elevate Experience because it's fantastic and the people that I meet are great. I want to transition to talking about this new thing that you're starting. And I can't say the word because it's a swear word, but it's the bleep, like the F bleep, the good mom myth. And this is a self-coaching card set that you're creating and challenges. Tell me all about it. I know next to nothing, but I'm super intrigued.
Hmm. So this came, can I tell you, this is very mystical, but this is how this came to me. Is I meditate every morning, not on weekends, just on the daily, Monday to Friday. And after one of the meditations, I sat there and I just heard this voice, go on Yahoo Finance. I've never went there in my life. And so I go on the website and I see this podcast of this person who developed these cards and these quotes and all these kinds of things. And I thought, how odd. And so I just listened to the podcast because I'm just following the guidance because it's usually never steers me wrong. And I'm thinking this has nothing to do with my plans or my visions or any of my goals. And then after I listened to that, I thought, could I do, I love affirmation cards because I do some type of cards. I didn't want to do affirmation cards, but I thought so many people who are in my circle or can't love the wisdom that I share about success and, moms in business and respecting your boundaries and all that. I thought maybe I could do some self-coaching cards about things that I coach women on all the time and different perspectives and them pondering or reflecting on the questions that I ask. And so, yeah, that's how it all developed. So they're self-coaching cards. Yeah.
I love that. I think they're great. And can people who are, not moms use them? Like, is it going to be helpful for people like me who also just kind of want to, F the myth of whatever it is to be a woman right now?
My answer would be F yes.
Okay.
We're talking, we're talking about it's all stuff that we all deal with. It's the mindset stuff. It's the
Yeah.
guilt for things. Not having, doing work stuff, thinking about our partners and, or vice versa. When we're with our partners, sometimes we think about work, actually, a lot of times.
A lot.
A lot, the comparison, the money stuff that comes up. It's boundaries, standards, all that stuff, all the
You
women's stuff.
you are my go-to for anything about that space to make sure, like, you're sort of the yeah, you are definitely the person that I look at when it comes to hearing, unapologetically just being yourself, just being present. I always find that you're incredibly present in conversations. I mean, we had you drop by. I mean, we don't live that far apart, like geographically, and you dropped by to drop off my plant because I couldn't take the plant home from Elevate because I was taking the bus. And I was so afraid this thing was going to get crushed because at the time I was coming home, it was like rush hour. So I was like, I can't take the plant. I can't take the plant. And like a week later, you're like, Jennie, I got your plant. And you came over, right? So you're sitting on the back area outside of where we live, and you're very present. Like I knew you had to go somewhere after that. And I was like, she's not even looking at her watch. I know she has somewhere to be. I know she has to go somewhere, but she's not looking at her watch. And I was like, do you have to go? You're like, yeah, probably. I probably should. I've got to meet my friend for lunch or whatnot. But in the moment that you're like in that between time when you were hanging out with us, you're just very present, which I thought was really cool. So I know this has been we kind of jumped everywhere. I really wanted to hear about how you created Elevate and what the purpose was. I wanted to hear how you support women. I wanted to hear about these incredible challenge cards. And I wanted to know sort of a little bit more about, how you make people feel seen and heard, which you do phenomenally. Before we wrap up, this is the last thing I'm going to ask you. What is happening for the rest of 2024 for you? What are your goals and plans?
Definitely these self-coaching cards that are that people can pre-order, but they're coming to life because I'm creating 55 of them. There's 11 that's already been created. And then also I guess this is my announcement. I love brunches, and I feel like brunches are always full of great conversation, and I love to linger, and I love the mimosas. And so I wanted to create a community of women that we can meet up 4 times a year that would be called Powerhouses Who Brunch. And it would be very structured, different than Elevate, but there'd be lots of storytelling, like maybe one person shares their story because that's also the like trust factor as well. Some networking as well, because people, as you know, Jennie, did not want to move at the event.
Nope.
I was like, go and mingle with other people. No, we like our
little circle we just created. Yep. Yep.
And then after the event, everybody said, I wish I would have met more people. So,
I tried, Julie, I tried. Okay, so that's the announcement. So now we're going to have brunches 4 times a year.
four
And
times a year in
and I'm
person.
on that list. I'm the first person on that list.
All right.
All right, because I love brunches.
Okay.
I will enjoy maybe a mimosa and enjoy the stories and whatever structure you create. So count me in on that for sure. So that's what you're happening. Is there anything else that's big and coming for you?
No, just continue with the private coaching
Mhm.
and plan for the next Elevate, which is already happening. People can't see, but I'm,
Doing the
how do you
finger.
say?
I don't know what you
Yes.
call that.
Like I'm cooking something up.
Yes, the evil, the evil he fingers, whatever that is. Oh my goodness.
That's right.
Okay.
But it's good evil. Good
Yeah,
evil.
it is a good evil. It is a good evil. All right. So where can people connect with you? Where can they find or where can they pre-purchase the cards that are coming up? How can everybody get into your space and your world?
Yes, my website, juliegreenham.com. I love Instagram, so I'm there. I am Julie Greenham. I love DMs. I love voice DMs. That's my
You do
preferred
love voice
method.
DMs.
It's just better.
It
Yes.
is. Well, you do it while you're driving. You're like, "Hi, Jenny." So, a little voice DM. So we'll put those into the show notes. We'll make sure everything is there, and that is going to be yeah. So that'll be in the show notes. Oh, and also if you want to hear what the conversation between Julie and I was when we first started this podcast, when I first started this podcast, Julie is on episode 10. So go and check that out. So go back to episode 10. You can hear a completely different conversation. It was really in the early stages of when I was getting to know Julie, but it was a phenomenal conversation. So I recommend that you go and check that out. I'll put that also in the show notes. So Julie, thank you so much for doing this. Always amazing. Can't wait to have you back again on the Acquire podcast. You're fantastic. And thanks so much.
Thank you, Jenny. I don't even know what we're going to talk about. I just say yes. Yes to coming back. Thank you.
Perfect. I'll figure something out for us to talk about. I'll come up with it and we'll just talk about that. So it'll be good. Thank you
Perfect.
so much. Awesome. Thank you so much, everybody, for listening. If you have anything that you would love to hear on this podcast, please don't hesitate to let me know. You can reach me on my socials. And as always, this podcast is brought to you by the Oddphonic Podcast Network. Make sure that you like, subscribe, listen, put comments, whatever it is, wherever it is that you're listening, because this is everywhere, including on YouTube. Put full length episodes up there as well. So go and check that out. Thanks so much. Take care.